I think I'm live. Probably. I'm doing it the through the events way, and it's a little bit slower. So I'm assuming I'm live. Let's check the stream. Obviously, it's working. Yes. Is the sound working? I think I'm live. Yep, sound's working. Yeah. Marco! What's up, man? Hey, don't try the Bing test today. I have Facebook closed, so it won't work. So, actually, my phone will probably work, but I have it on vibrate, so it's not that bad. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome. I hope everyone's doing all right today. What's the delay on this? Marco! What's up, man? Okay, so it's, what is that, like 30 seconds? That's not that bad. So, everything's working. So, I've been streaming for 1 minute and 9 seconds. Hope everyone's joining me. Hope everyone's going to have a good time. Don't really have any topics planned. I actually went in to go do a little bit of research, just as for like 3D printing topics to talk about, and that didn't really work because I got distracted by something. And yeah, so now we don't have anything. Saying don't try the Bing test is like the number one way. You can try it. I mean, you might hear my phone vibrate, and that's all that's going to happen. So, sorry. Cyrus was like, well, he's probably going to mess with me this time, and so I closed off Facebook. Or turned off Facebook. So, I will get no messages. I should probably... Now's your chance, Marco, because I gotta go on Facebook to post on the stream. Oh yeah, Facebook just doesn't work today for some reason. And I got tea. Way ahead of time. Push me live and ask me anything. Very professional. It's not gonna work. Marco, it's not gonna work. I don't have Skype open on my computer. I have Skype open on my phone, so also not going to get that. So, for those of you who don't know what's going on, Marco, every time I live stream, he likes to try to make a Bing noise occur on my computer. So, luckily for me, it's not going to work because I made sure. I'm going to post this on my actual Facebook, like my regular Facebook, to see if there's anyone who's like not a 3D printing, not following me for the 3D printing, but following me for, just like a friend of mine, see if any of them join. So, because most of my friends on Facebook are not into 3D printing, other than my friends that I've added on Facebook through 3D printing. Hello, everyone. We'll get some people in this stream. Start asking questions. I should have probably looked up a topic. Let me go on Google. 3D printing news. Let's see if we can find something to talk about. Autodesk believes 3D printed airplane seat could save airlines millions of dollars. I sure hope they implement that by the time I'm on a plane in 3 weeks. 3 weeks from yesterday. Yeah, 3 weeks. I hope they implement 3D printed airplane seats. Oh. See, if you want 3D printing news, you want to go talk to, or you want to watch Dustin Phillips live stream, because he actually talks about news and stuff like that. Whereas I just kind of do this for the fun of it and the conversation. So any of you guys ask me anything. Let me know what's going on. Questions, concerns. You can ask me stuff about me. You can ask stuff about 3D printing. If I've seen this, if I've seen that. what kind of nonsense does my computer do? Whatever. Got a nice overlay now. I finally figured out how to make an overlay work in this freaking program. So, actually, you know what? I wanted to try this. Hold on. Here's an easy way to break everything. Nope. Wait. Yes, it'll look like that. That looks like ass. I'm not gonna do that. I was trying to like see if I can make the white of the thing go away, but it's not gonna work. So, I mean, it will work, but it's not gonna look that good. So I'd rather not. It's good enough. It's not like you need to see anything right here. So. Laser sintering, croning, sand. Sounds like a good topic to me. Laser sintering, croning, sand. I mean, that sounds like a very interesting topic, but I'm probably the last person that needs to be talking about it because I know what those words mean, but put them all together and you've got some other sort of thing that I am not an expert in. Here but bowling. You're always doing something, Philip. You're never just, I'm at home chilling in my bed in my underwear watching this. You're always doing something. When is the CNC mod being released? Probably pretty soon at this point because they selected a bunch of people to get the beta units other than me. I had the original beta unit, other than what they have at the office. And we worked out some things from that. Wrote a basic, I got the outline of the guide and the assembly guide and all that. And then they've had someone else at Folger Tech working on it in more detail. And so now they have sent out actual beta units to other people, see how they do. Once all the feedback is back and everything's good, it should be released. Unless there's something that comes that's like massively wrong with it. But when there's actually a date, everyone's gonna know at the same time, including me, just because that's how we usually do things. So once there's actually a set date, I'll tell you, but you'll probably already know. It'll probably be announced on the Facebook group and everything. So I'm excited for it to release. Trust me, because I want to see what people do with it. See how many people are interested in CNC stuff, in case there's another project coming along. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, when is Folger Tech doing SLA? I haven't formally talked to John about that. I remember we talked about it like a year ago when I had lunch with him. He came down here for a few days and I had lunch with him and we talked about that, and he's like, it just seems a little bit too complicated and messy to do something like that. And I agree with him. It's expensive and messy and all sorts of crap, but I think he wants to do that. I just don't know how well it would work with, how we do kits, so the DIY aspect of it. SLA seems to be a lot more, needs to be really, really revised and all that kind of stuff. And so it's possible, but I have no idea if we're actually going to be doing something in a, timely manner. So maybe in a couple of years, probably, I'm sure we'll have one of everything in a couple of years, laser cutters and CNCs and freaking mills and all sorts of crap, No problem, O'Brien. I'm hoping that we'll be able to figure out everything that's going wrong with you or with your thing. You know how it is. Troubleshooting of things like this, like when I'm doing the emails and stuff like that, troubleshooting these types of like printers is fairly difficult because, one, I'm not there. If I'm there, like if I was there and able to go to everyone's house and actually look at their wiring and the board and all that, I could probably figure out what's going wrong with it in, a couple minutes. It's because I know how to do it and how to quickly do it. But when you're doing it through email and trying to explain to people how to, okay, so do this, let me know what happens. Okay, so this is what happened. Okay, so now I know this isn't the problem. This is the problem. And you're just like, oh, we did. Yes. See, I didn't even know that we did. I don't mean we did, but you know what I mean. But I talked to too many people. I just sometimes I know your name, but I don't remember what happened. Or did I break something or did you fix it? Not you specifically, but in general. I just talk to too many people. Sometimes people message me on Facebook and they're like, "Hey, can you help me out with this thing I was having issues with?" I'm like, I have no idea what we were dealing with because I just talk to so many people and there's so many issues. So, what was I talking about? Yeah, it's very difficult to try to troubleshoot, that kind of thing, just because there's so many little things that this can cause this and A, B, C, D, and so trying to do it via like email is very difficult. I mean, and even then, I've helped people before on like Skype, not through Folgers Tech work, but like friends and stuff like that. And even then, it'll still take hours to try to figure out some things. So it's never really easy, I guess. So let's see, where was I? Folgers Tech CNC, start the hype train. Yeah, start the hype train. Oh man, if you start the hype train now, it might come out in the next 5 years. That would be pretty cool. Actually, I don't know how much I can say, but I'll say this. When I go to Folgers Tech at the end of this month, I will take pictures. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. What is Folgers Tech doing to routers and mills? Routers, maybe the CNC, it'll have an actual router on it. We were looking at different ways to, have like a motor, whether it's just like a 12 volt motor, kind of like the FT5 CNC, but a little bit bigger, or if we just have a mount for an actual like, big DeWalt router, something like that. So that's something. As for a mill, I don't think we're able to make some sort of like a legitimate kit mill that's decent cheaply. I'm sure we could try, but that'd be something that's way off in the future. When it gets to the point to where I'm able to just have free reign on being able to build whatever, then I'd probably try. But as of right now, it's not something that there's not enough manpower to be able to do it. If it was just me and I had unlimited reign to just here's all the materials that we've bought, have fun at building whatever, develop something, then I could probably do it. But in due time. Have John message me if he wants some help with the CAD and stuff. The whole thing is helping me with the CAD model FT5. We have a few other people that are helping with the CAD models of the FT5, Marco. I actually started doing one, but it's a pain in the ass. And someone else had already done way more than me, and they're like, okay, let's just have him do it. So stream is at a record 19. Ooh. Hi, 19 people. According to mine, it says 17, but, probably because I'm watching it myself. You planning to go to Orlando Maker Faire again this year? I may. I haven't made 100% plan that I will, but assuming I am here and all that, then I more than likely will. Maybe I'll be able to get someone else to go with me so I'm not alone. I don't like going places alone, which is why it's going to be kind of freaky to be able to travel to Folgers Tech by myself. I've never traveled alone. I don't like going places by myself. I don't even like going to Walmart by myself. So it's going to be kind of weird to travel there. But I went to Maker Faire last year by myself. I saw a few people that I had become acquaintance with or whatever, but we'll see. I'll definitely let you know if I do. So I use Skype. Yes. Favorite 3D printer. My favorite 3D printer. Well, it depends, because my favorite 3D printer to use is probably the FT5, just because it's just a really good printer. I can print things I can print things slowly and they come out amazingly. Whereas like the Prusa 2020 they come out really well. You just have to print it a little bit slower, that kind of thing. And the Prusa 2020 is probably my favorite budget 3D printer, just because you're only losing a couple inches of build area, or build area, a little bit of build volume, but for most things, like I've only printed one or two things that I needed the FT5 versus a Prusa. So I do like the Prusa, obviously. and I do like the FT5. I like all the Folger Tech printers really, but I think the FT5 just because it's got that little special, just a little bit nicer looking prints quality at least. So, but the Prusa 2020 is still fantastic for the money. Like I said, you're only losing, it's an 8x8 versus 12x12, and it's still just as good. Plus, there's a bunch of mods and community support and all that kind of stuff. So. Thanks to poor literature from the cheap Banggood, AliExpress, and GearBest, I've gotten a few different printers in my shop to diagnose or build. I've made more assembling and repairing than prints. Yeah. That's why I ended up not... that's why I never really got into getting those cheap, like $180 GearBest 3D printers, just because they seem like, I don't want one of those, They seem like they're probably good, and once you set them all up, they're probably good, but it just seems like there's too much chintziness, basically. I can't honestly say that, what was I going to say? I don't even know. Like, I know that the build guides may not be the easiest to follow for some people, but at least Folger Tech's a company that's like in America, and you can just message us and be like, hey, what's up, man? I need a thing, and we'll actually get you parts. Whereas those other companies, although they might be a little bit cheaper or whatever, you're like having to message China, hope they can translate things correctly, and you might get parts, maybe, sort of. I don't know. So that's why I very much support American companies, especially something like this, especially getting cheap 3D printers from an American company. Like, remember when everyone's like, oh, MakerBot made in New York City, but they're like $3,000. These are made in America, kit in America, so that's why it's a little bit better, I think. I made a CNC router, plasma cutter. That sounds cool. I want a plasma, or not a plasma cutter, what is it? Like a full CNC or a laser cutter. I'd like to have a laser cutter, like like a K40 or something like that. I just don't have enough room right now. I could probably put it on the back porch, but I'd want one of the big ones so I can just make anything I wanted. That would be cool. We'll take full advantage of laser cutters that John has while I'm there. Got to ship home like 40 pounds of wood that I've cut. Should I get a Creality CR10, the original Prusa MK2, Tronx X3, Folger Tech FT5, Micromake Delta? My only experience is with the FT5, obviously, but the original Prusa Mark II is a really freaking good printer. It's just kind of expensive. The Creality, I've heard some issues with it. The CR10, apparently it's good, but there's apparently some people have had issues with it, but I don't know much about it. And the other ones, I don't really know anything about it. Delta printers in general are just a pain in the butt, but they're still good quality printers as long as they're set up right, but they're still a pain. I just finished my FT5. What do we get? Min-temp error. Min-temp is thermistor error. Take a multimeter, set it to over 100k ohms, and measure the resistance of the thermistor. If you get anywhere near 100k ohms, then the thermistor's fine and it's a connection to the board. Usually it means that the thermistor is damaged, though. So if you have way under, basically 70k or lower, or 130k or higher, then something's not right with it. But usually if it's min-temp completely, that means there's a dead short. So check your thermistor. More than likely that's the issue. Yeah, I knew other peeps were working on an FT5 model. I started first, as far as I know, but I stopped. Work with them and never made me, so just quit doing it. Yeah, but what you could do, what you should do is keep modeling it and then make a better one. So then you can be like, hey, everyone, I got an even better model. Hey, what's up, Angel? Good evening. Bye, Philip. I hope you come back at some point. Look at John, the man himself. FT5 is the favorite. 2020 would be number 2. See, I think they're both really good printers, FT5 and the Prusa 2020. It's just they're a different animal. The 2020 is pretty much just as good when it comes to print quality. You can't go quite as fast, obviously, but it's still a freaking good quality printer. at half the price, and you're only losing some build area. But like I said, most of the time you don't need the build area for things. So you even emailed me, Marco. Like I said, everything's closed. Min temp is caused by a broken thermistor or bad connection to the board, or you're in a really cold area. Yeah, that could be true. That is when you learn. Oh, I shouldn't have my 3D printer outside during a blizzard because we will get a min temp error. Johnny, had that error too. Yeah, the thermistors, if you see a min temp or max temp error, it's usually going to be either you have the thermistor plugged into the wrong spot, the thermistor itself is damaged, or there's a short in the wiring somewhere, or the pins on the actual board are shorting or something like that. The most common thing is the actual thermistor is damaged or something like that. So, like I said, just use a multimeter. You can check the resistance of the thermistor. If it's anything around 100k ohms, then it should be right. Otherwise, you got to check your wiring, check the board itself, things like that. I do recommend getting some extra thermistors. Buy them online, buy them from Folger Tech, whatever. Just 100k NTC thermistors. It's good to have spares because you will break them. They will just break on you at random because they just like to do that. The wires will break, the wires will fray or something like that. So it's good to have a bunch just in case, So my favorite is the cloner. I do like the cloner. It's an interesting printer just because it's got a weird place. It fits into a weird spot on the list because it doesn't have any pros over everything else that's cheaper than it. Yet it's more expensive, and but it's still it's got dual extrusion stock. That's pretty much all that it really has, and even then, I would still say go with the 2020, a Prusa 2020, and then mod it for dual extrusion. Unless you're really good with 3D printers already, like if you're just adding on a kit, then it's a good kit because you already are going to know how to set up dual extrusion and all that, and it's fairly easy. But I wouldn't recommend it as a beginner. So I uploaded a couple videos if you want to look. I will check them after the stream. American European printers, much better than Chinese printers. A donation. Muchas gracias. Thank you. You are the best. It's weird. I'm getting donations. Am I doing something for the world that people are happy about? It's weird. I'm not used to this. I should probably hold on. Let me see if I can select a region. Come on down. Come on over. There we go. Just so I can see a little bit more on the stream. But thank you so much. I appreciate the donation. I'm not used to having people enjoy stuff that I do and want to support me. I don't need it. I make actually between because I pay for Adobe software, just because I've always used Adobe software in school and all that. I'm certified on it and all that crap. So I really enjoy Adobe software. So I actually pay the monthly subscription because I do. I know I done actually for the longest time. The first couple videos on my channel, up until fairly recently, are I was using how do you say, borrowed copy of Premiere Pro and Photoshop and all that. And I know it's hard to justify that. Because I'm not for stealing software, but my argument was I'm not making any sort of money on it. I know that it's still not, I know it's not the right thing, but still my argument was I'm not making any sort of money on it. I'm just learning it. But once I make money, then I will use it, or then I will pay for it. So once I hit to the point to where my YouTube channel makes enough money to pay the subscription, pay the monthly subscription, then I will pay for it. And so I was able to hit that point like a couple months ago or a year ago or something like that, to where I'm actually making enough money on my YouTube channel to be able to afford the subscription for the software I use to edit my videos on my YouTube channel. So in reality, I'm actually breaking even maybe on my YouTube channel, but I make my videos to help people. I don't make them to make money. I have no intention of getting rich quick to be able on YouTube. So, oh man, John, everyone's like, hey, ship my stuff quicker, ship my stuff quicker. Hey, John's in the chat. Don't go spamming him because, we don't need that. But trust me, they're getting the kits out as quickly as they can. Trust me. There's a lot of orders. I hope to order an FT5 in the next month. You should order it tomorrow. You should order it right now. Actually, tomorrow's Friday. Payday's tomorrow, so order it tomorrow. If I know linear rails feel very choppy now, so is there a way to get some? What I've done is use 3-in-1 oil. First, clean off the rails because they might come with some crap on them from the factory. Some people will take like WD-40 and stuff like that, or some sort of cleaner, even like brake cleaner, and spray it inside the rails just to try to clean out any sort of goop from inside, and then oil it. I use 3-in-1 oil. Actually, I use, I don't know where it is, PTFE oil. It's literally like 3-in-1. Actually, it's sitting right there. It's like 3-in-1 oil, but it's PTFE lubricant versus regular 3-in-1 oil. But still, it's really good. And so you can just run it on there. Oh my god, I gotta find my chat thing. So yeah, so just use that oil, and then if it's kind of choppy, use the oil and just keep going back and forth and work it in, because it'll, the balls in there are kind of weird, and you'll wear it in basically, and then they'll start to roll fairly well. So I'll probably watch lots of these vids and happily support people willing to help the community. I'm so happy. Thank you. I'm glad I'm able to help the community. That's why I started making YouTube videos. My first video was a review of a Fulgertech 3D printer because there was no reviews, and I wanted people to know that, hey, it's a decent thing if you want a, cheap kit, blah, 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 and all that. So, and look where I am now. Go to UCF? I do go to UCF. I'll be starting my 1,000th year there, more or less. Can you yell at John and tell him to hurry up and ship my 55 to Rhode Island? They're all going out, see? I'm doing a pile Friday. Yeah, see. See, everyone's shipping out the stuff. Oh, we're getting a pile out Monday. A few years ago, the CS2 suite was given away by Adobe. Really? I didn't know that. I'm using the, Adobe CC, the newest stuff that they have, just because I like having updates. That I will say that the thing that pushed me over once I was like, okay, I'm making this money. I'll sign that. I'll do that, soon. And then I realized that Adobe CC, or Adobe Premiere, whatever it was, CC added the Lumetri color. When they added Lumetri color, the version I had didn't have that. And I was like, this is so much better than how I do color correction. So I was like, okay, screw it. I'm going to go just pay for it and get the updates and be able to get all that. And it's going to make it so much better. So yeah, I'm happy. It's not that much either. Yeah, I know in the grand scheme of things you're paying more because it's a subscription versus just buying it outright, but it's not that bad. I don't mind. I don't mind spending money on things that I know how to use and make my life easier, because I sure as shit don't want to use a Movie Maker. Here's a question. I use a 40mm turbofan folder. Sounds like a jet taking off. What's good replacement? Still providing good cooling. I probably have that same fan. It might not be the one from Fulgertech, but I have a fan like that. It's basically like, yeah, you got a turbojet on your hands. The 40mm fans that the printer comes with, those work as well. They just don't have nearly enough airflow to be able to really keep things cooled down, especially if you're going fast. If you're going fast, I can only recommend that loud thing. You might be able to bring down the speeds. If it's got speed control, I leave mine on 100 all the time, but I think you can control it from the fan port on the FT5, the MKS board. Control it on the fan port, and then you should be able to lower it like half speed or something like that in the firmware. It's still loud, but better than nothing. What is the black piece of cloth stuck to the walls for? I'll tell you why. You hear that? There's no echo. Behind me, and then all up on my walls up around here are some homemade sound dampening things, because I like to have a silent room. I don't like echo. Echo angers me. So when I'm making videos or recording music or whatever, I don't like having echo, and so those are literally just echo things. They literally are just for sound dampening. So, and they work really well. Like I made it cost me like $20 in a bunch of cloth that I got from Goodwill, and wood that I had to buy because I didn't have any. And there's a whole bunch. So they work really well. What do you think of Ghost Gunner kit? I don't know what that is. I'll have to check that out. John's helping people. See, look at you. Don't get that with other companies. You can't have how many companies can you have, like, the owner and operator of a company in a Facebook or in a YouTube live stream helping the people? Like, that doesn't happen very often. So you gotta just round of applause. Make sure you have a zip tie or have it bolted down that carriage falls off. Yeah, be careful. You don't want the slider falling off the rails. It can be fixed, but it's a pain in the butt. Yeah, trying to find the bearings and all that. It's a pain. So, nice. I work tomorrow. 3-hour drive. Trying to go pick up his thing. Do you know if there's any upgrade kits planned for the FT5 to be included in the first purchase? You mean like upgrades? What did it mean? I don't know. I don't think there's, well, other than like the incremental, upgrades that we do, quote unquote upgrades. They're not really upgrades, but the improvements. Those things are always happening, so it's hard to say, but I don't know of any dedicated upgrade kits other than like from other companies, like the aluminum parts and all that. Those are technically upgrade kits, but they're not really things like, they're not really, it's not really from Folger Tech one. Of course, we'll be improving things as we go along. So the kit we're going to end up with years down the road is going to be completely different, more than likely from the original one. But that's just kind of the nature of it, isn't it? At some point it might end up being the FT5 V2 or something like that, or Rev 2 or whatever, but I don't know of anything right now. So it would be cool though. Be cool. An FT5, but it's like 6 feet by 6 feet and it's got a big like 2-inch nozzle on it. That'd be amazing. It'd be like the Folgers Tech version of the Parts Daddy, the 18-foot 3D printer. You'll have a kit of that. That's what we'll do. I go back up here. Do you still use your cloner? Yeah, I don't use it all that often just because I can usually just fire up the FT5 or the other ones. But yeah, I use it occasionally, especially if I need to print a whole bunch of things in different colors. I'll fire it up and it works fine. It's just, the last one in the line of printers I need to use. So ghostgunner.net. I will check that out. Good evening, Dustin and everyone else. Good evening, Bob. Angel. Bro, thank you. I appreciate it. So it's coming back to me. Remember when I helped you out? Remember a while back? Remember that power supply? See, it's all coming back. Everyone's going to end up with the same thing. Maybe if I'm able to sneak it onto the train, I'll bring you something from down here. Won't tell you what it is, but for your $3 donation, I'll bring you something when I see you in New York. You can try the Delta X fans for airflow. They're still loud. Yeah, those fans are just loud. Like, they're just a pain, but they're loud for a reason. Do I have one right here? Yes. This is the one I use. That. One of those. See, I have a thing on it. This thing is loud as frig. This thing will wake up babies in the next country. But, that being said, it actually works really well as a parts cooler. Especially if you're trying to print at 150 millimeters per second. It works really well, so... Like, if you're going to buy an FT5, there would be a premium kit or something that includes aluminum brackets. That might be something we do in the future. I don't really know. Is there a touchscreen for the FT5? You could use those touchscreens like the TFT ones. You just have to do modifications to the firmware. And, of course, you'd have to make your own bracket to mount it. But, yeah, you should be able to use any of those TFT screens. So, what? Look at the super chat now, John. Thank you, sir. It feels weird. Like, why is he... thank you. It's like an early paycheck. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. This is orders at folgertech.com is the easiest way to get to Folgertech. Here's an improvement for you. Have a laser cutter cut 170 spaces for quick measurement. The distance at the top. Laser cut one out of acrylic. Made the part fast as hell to finish. Well, that's good. I just used a measuring tape. See, because I have the one thing that no one else seems to have, and that is a metric measuring tape. It makes everything so amazing. This is like the only one that I could find. Lowe's carries, the Lowe's I work at carries one metric, or it has metric. It's both, and then this one was at Walmart because I was there for whatever, and it was like $3 or $4, and it has metric, and there was the only one. So I'm like, I need metric. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Just make sure you get the Delta brand ones. The other ones are meh. Delta, yeah. Like I said, John, thank you very much. $10 donation. Wow, I feel so honored. Should not raise the cost of any. Likely be done with its scrapes from the process per kit. Scraps. Yeah. I mean, isn't there a part in it that is supposed to be 170? I don't remember. There's supposed to be a part. I don't remember what it is now. Someone remind me. I'm pretty sure there was maybe it was the spool holder thing. Was it the spool holder? It was supposed to be the right size, but I don't remember now. So, either way, I just use measuring tape because I can. Soft shell turtle meat. Turtle tastes like chicken, just softer. I don't think I've had soft shell turtle meat though. I don't know what kind of turtle it was actually, so it may have been. But turtle tastes like chicken to me. I just gave you your paycheck. Yeah, right. And a couple hours early too. That's awesome. You should look at those turbofan style shrouds for the axle fans. They prevent blowback and make the fans quieter. Ooh, I will have to check that out. I'll make a note of that. Flash Forge 3D printer. Is it worth it? Is that the CTC style ones? I'm pretty sure it's the one that the cloner is. Oh no, I broke everything. Oh, those ones. I mean, for a pre-built printer, they're not. They're probably not terrible. But if you want a pre-built printer, I'd probably go with the monoprice ones, just because they're really cheap and they're actually really good. That's the only printer I've ever considered buying other than a Folgertech printer is the monoprice ones, because they're really cheap and actually really good pre-builts. But of course they're pre-built, so that takes all the fun out of it. Stop breaking things, man. Which one of those guitars are your favorite back there? Probably, well, it's so hard. See, because they're all pretty much in different tunings. Which is why I have so many, because it's a lot easier to go from standard tuning to drop C if you just grab a different guitar. So my favorite probably is the Ibanez Iceman, because I've always wanted an Iceman, just because I'm a massive fan of System of a Down, and he's always played one, back in their earlier days, and so I've always loved the Ibanez Iceman shape and the way that it feels. And that's actually the most recent guitar not other than a bass, but the most recent guitar I've gotten is that Iceman, and I love that thing. So it's wonderful. But yeah, as for guitars, probably that, just because it plays really well. And then a bass, this bass right here is a Ibanez SR 375 or 370, I think, and that thing's awesome. That's my favorite bass to play. They're both in the same tune. They're both in drop C, so I enjoy them. Yeah, buy a Folgertech printer. I mean, like I said, I'm sure the Flash Forges are pretty good. I've never used one personally, and the monoprice ones are good too, and they're pre-built. But if you want to, I will always try to push for one Folgertech printers, obviously. But the building your own DIY printer just teaches you a lot about stuff. It teaches you about building, and it teaches you about troubleshooting. If you even, it teaches you about why things work together. It teaches you programming. It teaches you how to think logically and think laterally and stuff like that. And that's, I'll always, especially for younger people, learning, people don't put stuff together like they used to anymore. Like how often do you see kids doing puzzles and things like that? How often, it's Lego, Lego connects, things like that. They teach kids how to build things. We need engineers. We need people who want to build things. So, I'll always, recommend you go with building your own printer because it's usually cheaper, for, as cheap as one, you can get a Prusa 2020, and it's a great printer, like I said, the monoprice ones are good, but they're smaller. The Prusa 2020, you get a much bigger build area, and it's a 5-hour build. It's really nice. You can't go wrong with something like that. And usually they're not that much more money depending on which one you're getting. A lot of pre-builts are stupid expensive, and if you're really not into building stuff yourself, then it is what it is. But for anyone who's interested in getting into 3D printing, especially as early as it is in the technology, just build it yourself. And even then, the kits are fairly cheap to where, if you end up not liking it, or not necessarily liking the kit, but liking the technology of 3D printing, you're not in it $3,000. Like imagine if you went out and bought an Ultimaker, you'd be out a couple $1,000s. Whereas if you, buy a Prusa 2020, put it together, you just don't like 3D printing in general or something like that, then you're only out, $250. And even then you can usually sell it. So, for a profit because you built it. So, always go with building your printers. And the Folger Tech stuff's awesome. Go to the Folger Tech Facebook group and use the discount code wink wink nudge nudge. Thanks to all your help with building my power supply and switch. Oh yeah, those switches things. That was weird issue that was going on with that. I got a measuring tape from a 99-cent store, and it is metric and imperial. See, there's not very many that has that though. It took me forever to find this one, and I love that. And what's funny is actually I went and got this, and then I went out into my garage, into my dad's old toolbox, and he has 3 separate measuring tapes, old measuring tapes, and they're all strictly metric, but they're all rusty, and I don't really like to use them. I like to have my own things. But yeah, it turns out we have a couple that are metric only. I didn't know that until after I bought that. But John, shame. Oh, I made John mad. Or he made someone else mad. I don't know. Buy Folger Tech 3D printers. Boom. Replacement parts are expensive though. Yeah, for the flash. That's why I don't like proprietary technology. The flash forward printers, even the what's it called, the monoprice ones. Yeah, they could be good, regardless of anything else. But they usually have a lot of proprietary stuff. Whether you have to use proprietary filament or their firmware or control boards or parts, and that makes it way more expensive. Whereas anything on our printers, you can pretty much find on eBay for nothing. And if you don't want to buy them on the Folger Tech store, which usually they're cheaper there than anywhere else, but you can, we have them locally. Essentially, we carry all the parts for our printers, so you don't have to buy them from China, but they're still cheap and they're all open source, so you can go and modify anything you want and make your own stuff, and it's just wonderful. So, that's the other good thing about going with a Folger Tech printer. The open sourceness of it, the DIY-ness of it, it makes it really easy to, if you need to replace parts, you can go and buy a, 99-cent for a 10-pack thermistor versus, a $40 hot end that you're required to get from the company that you bought it from, pretty much it. And that's why. Why is the Folger Tech the recommended printer? Why is it... anything I've just said, pretty much, it's Folger Tech stuff. It's awesome. But it's the DIY-ness of it. I appreciate that fact. Some people don't. Some people don't want to build kits. They just want to have something pre-built, put it on a desk, and it works. And there's options out there for you if you're into that kind of thing. But for me personally, to be able to, one, you're getting, something you can learn from, something you can build. For two, you are, it's a company that has support. We're here in America. Everything is shipped from America. Everything's shipped from New Hampshire. stuff like that, it's a good thing. You don't have to go and try to message China to be able to try to find things. Plus, all the printers are still good quality. The Prusa 2020 is, I think, one of the best printers on the market in its price range and even above. It's very hard to get. You can pay a little bit less for one of those ANET ones, but I've heard a lot of terrible stories from those things. A number of people that I've talked to personally have said that, like they have one, they're like, yeah, it's cheaper, but I should have gone with the Folger Tech printer just because this thing's a piece of crap. It breaks, it clogs, it's broken, the boards are broken, you can't communicate with the companies, and, it's good to have an American company. So, of course, you can always do your research. You can take what I say with a grain of salt, I guess, but I just realized Chase. See? You want to buy from an American company, buy from us. Right? And I know you. You want to buy from an American company. I just realized it was you. Nice support costs and how you learn from them. Also, you support Dustin directly. Yeah. Where's Folger Tech? How could you not like the technology? That's just a that's just a hypothetical, but I'm sure that there's people who are just, they're not into it. There's some things that I'm like, how are you not into this kind of thing? But some people just aren't like that. So, although because 3D printing is getting so big, a lot of people are like, let's try it. Let's see if they like it. But, some people are like that. Not everyone likes cool things, I guess. Ooh, found the intake shroud. I'll check it out. If only Folger Tech could stay in stock for things. Yeah. I mean, they're usually pretty good, but between having a stock for people to buy just the item and then also using the items in the kits, things go real quick. As many orders as they're getting right now per week, it's very hard. You can buy, a pallet of stuff that just disappears, like seemingly overnight, for people either buying them just for their own usage, buying it on their store, or to go into kits. So, you got to remember, Folger Tech's a small company. It's not like they just have a warehouse and millions of square feet full of extra stock like some places have. Buying expensive stuff straight from China is a no-no, at least for me. Yeah, I wouldn't want to buy, I bought one thing, I bought like that little mini laser engraver thing I have came from GearBest, and it's decent. It's just, it's unusably small. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I haven't really had any issues, but like I said, getting support for it is almost impossible. So I have a Prusa 2020, love it, and a console not currently running. Other than the build area, what are the other reasons to consider FT5? Well, the build area is the main thing. It does have linear rails, so it's a little bit smoother in the axes. You don't have as much, basically wobbling. It's a lot more sturdy. So you don't have as much play in the whole system itself, which leads to better quality prints overall. You can print faster on it and get the same quality as you would on like a 2020. So if you're if you don't need the build area, it's hard for me to really recommend it. It's a really good printer, but you can get it's not like it's going to it's 1,000 times better than what your Prusa 2020 is already getting. You'll be able to print a little bit faster and a little bit bigger. And then, of course, a lot bigger, I guess. So if you're into really big things, then yeah, I would definitely get it. But if you're just doing small things, it's really not necessary. Of course, if you're into doing anything into like the future add-ons that are going to come with it, then that might be something you want to do. Plus, you can modify it and do a lot of things to it as well. But imagine a bigger Prusa 2020 with a little bit faster, better quality, that kind of thing. It's not like you're buying a $4,000 printer versus one of those $100 printers. Kind of difference in quality. They're still pretty close, but it's just got that little bit extra 5% kind of increase in quality overall, and then you can go faster and all that kind of stuff. So I'm terrible at like coming up with things on the spot. I'm a terrible person at doing Q&As. What am I doing this for? Why am I trying to do this every week? Check your Facebook. Yeah, I saw the notification. I'll message you in a minute. stuck a laser on my FT5. Easy install. I was thinking about doing that because I have that little laser engraver thing. I thought about just putting it right into right onto the HUD and seeing what happens. But I might do that when I get time. See if I can make a little mount just to see if I can have a little 500 milliwatt. America. I don't know, Maker Farm is pretty good too. I don't know much. My only printing experience, like overall, has been all the Fulgertech printers. One of the old original MakerBots that I had, or I didn't have, but our school had in high school, and then what is it called? The Robo 3D. They have them at Best Buy, and I got to mess with one of those at a Best Buy. But it's a piece of crap. It's terrible. way too expensive for how good it is. If I bring a pocket of cash, I can grab things like 2020 cornerbacks, extra thermistors and pulleys. Let's see, people in posting. Email. John will be right back. Steel tubes would be cheaper than aluminum extrusion and much more rigid. Yeah, but the thing about the aluminum extrusions is they're a lot more modular. The aluminum extrusions makes it to where it's very easy to be very modular, and you can build things very easily with them. So that's what I like. I mean, yeah, you could steel tubes would be nice, but it'd be a lot more difficult to try to secure it and make it to where you can change things around, I guess, unless you're using stuff that like the ones that have like the hole patterns in them. But even then, that makes it kind of difficult. So 2020 extrusion for the win. What's the most useful tool you have made from your printer? That's a tough one. Other than like general like wire management stuff that I have like under my desk, I just make those little clips and stuff like that. I actually have a working ratchet and wrench. What else have I done? See, now I'm on the spot. Most of the stuff I print is like mods for the 3D printers themselves. Like I don't print all that much like nice things, I guess. What other things have I had that's useful? I've made like parts for like not parts for vehicles, but like little clips and plastic things that have broken on vehicles. You can make those. It really depends on your imagination. Then you have cool things, like the 3D printed gear heart, that kind of thing, which is just cool. Like cases, like I have the Raspberry Pi that I have mounted to a monitor, and then I got a 3D printed case on that, and that works really well. So there's an endless amount of stuff you can do. So Tony Oldham's made so much money printing stuff. Yeah, he's got that. He makes those parts for guns, doesn't he? And he sells so much stuff. It's insane. I remember when he got his once we got him set up and working, like he went to town on making stuff and selling it. Like he makes he does really good. I'm glad he does so good with his printers. He's got a number of FT5s, I'm pretty sure. He had one originally, but I think he bought a bunch or something. Dustin, when you head into New Hampshire, I will be there from the 24th to the 30th, the end of this month, May. Just going to be up there doing stuff. Get to visit the headquarters up there. Be nice and cool. Literally nice and cool. It was 96 or something like that today here, and I didn't want to go outside. So, yeah, I can't wait until I'm in a climate that isn't death. I was hoping it would snow, but I know that's not going to happen. But still, it's kind of like want it to happen, just a random snowstorm in the middle of May. That'd be awesome. Making money, what is he printing? If you're talking about Tony, he makes, I'm pretty sure he makes like gun parts, stuff like that, like mods for, or like the plastic parts of guns and stuff like that. I think he makes like parts for those and sells them and or stuff like that. I don't really know. I haven't talked to him in a while, so. But I think he does stuff like that, and he does sell quite a bit, so. What will you be doing there? Tell the truth. I don't know what I'll be doing there, really. I know I'll be touring the place, probably looking at the scenery of, the northeast seaboard. And obviously probably looking at stuff or working on stuff, probably building stuff. Let's see if we can build this, build that. I don't really know 100%, but I'm just kind of going up there to visit and see how it is, and see what we're gonna do. I don't really know yet, though. It'll be fun, whatever it is. I'm gonna have a good time. There'll be videos, so you guys subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and you'll get all the video from when I go up there. So, hi Ida. There's something I could say to you, but it's personal information. So I already did earlier. You know what I'm talking about. Today, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Good evening. Good evening. I'm looking to the lead screw update for my Prusa, but the 300 millimeters are currently out of stock. How often does the new stock come in? I do not know. Probably. It depends, really. It depends on how many they order and how many people are buying them. The best way to find out when stuff's going to be in stock is just message them, orders@folgertech.com, and let them know, and they'll either let you know when it comes in, or they'll let you know, hey, we're getting a shipment in at this time, or something like that. Jonathan's going to build the next part, Daddy. That would be awesome. That would be cool. I doubt that's going to be what we do up there, but Ida? You know what I mean. I'm pronouncing it the American way. Ida. Miss Folger. Mrs. Folger. We'll just say that. Final product does not need this. What are we talking about? Get them from ZYL Tech, the reasonably priced. Yeah, I was going to say that. ZYL Tech, their filament's really good. Like, I've been using that green spool up there. That's from them, and it's actually really good. Like, I'm excited. It's cheap, too. It's like $11 or something. Like, I was genuinely impressed. So, I was really surprised how good they are. Like, how's the backlog coming? That's a good question for him. 40 millimeter grenade launcher the Army printed. That would be cool. It's a 3D printed grenade launcher. They do have that 3D printed gun, but I wouldn't. I mean, I have you remember the one that someone put up online, and then, like they took it down and all that. I have that. I was able to get the file before they took it down. I just haven't got around to making it because there's a lot of parts, and I'm really not going to use it. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years? 5 years older. That's all I can honestly say, because trust me, 5 years ago, if you would ask me where do you see yourself in 5 years, would have said something completely different than where I am now. So I see myself as 5 years older, and hopefully I was going to say something really bad. I'm not going to say that. Maybe I'll be married. I don't know. Got to find a girl first. Got to find a female friend. Then I might be able to get married. It's pronounced Ida. See, I didn't know that, though. Most of the time, if I see that spelling, I say it's Ida. But, I understand. I'll make sure to call you that. So. 3D printed buildings, the future. I wouldn't say it's the future of, buildings in general. Like, I don't think you're going to end up seeing skyscrapers 3D printed in cities anytime soon. But for those quick shelters and stuff like that they've been doing, the survival shelter, I don't remember what it's called. The ones where they're they can make these big shelters in a couple hours, and they'd be able to print these really decent, I can't remember the world. If an earthquake or something like that hits some country and they need to make shelters for people, those I think are something that they can already do. They just need to implement it. I think that is definitely the future, 3D printed buildings in that way. And I think we'll probably start to see 3D printed homes, in a couple of years, actually mass produced homes, to where it's just, they put it on a site, it makes it to whatever design, and then all that. but I don't think it's going to be to where just every single building in the world is going to be 3D printed. I don't think that's going to come anytime soon. Maybe, but not soon, I don't think. Take a bunch of cool videos. I'm subbed. It'd be cool to get behind the scenes. Yeah, I haven't even seen behind the scenes really, other than pictures from them. But I think that'll be really cool. Thanks again for the help this week with the cables. No problemo. I like to help people. That's why I do this, is to help people. I like helping people. I feel useless if I'm not helping someone. That's what I do with like my life. Literally everything I do is helping people. Like my job at Lowe's and Folger Tech, and just what I do in general is usually I want to help people, make them do things, help them be happier. What's the sweetest thing John has ever printed you? Her answer was a huge Doctor Who dialect. That's funny. Thanks for the tip on that filament. Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, you can try it out. They have a website, but you can buy it on their eBay store, and it's like you buy $30 in filament and you get it free shipping or something like that. And I was surprised on how good it is. So, eBay, ZWellTech.com. Yeah, they have an eBay store too. The Liberator 9mm shooty. Probably, I think it's the Liberator. It's on my computer, but I'm pretty sure it's the Liberator. It's okay, Dustin. It F's everyone. Yeah. I mean, I could say like a Spanish pronunciation would be Ida, but then again, I don't really know. I don't really know the pronunciation, stuff like that, of other languages and stuff like that. So I know Spanish pronunciation. That's about it. Replacement for FEMA trailers, maybe. Yeah, stuff like that, to where it's, you can set up temporary shelters and stuff like that fairly quickly with something like that. So I think that would be cool. 3D printed buildings. Eventually we'll have 3D printed everything. Eventually we'll have 3D printed robots that 3D print things for us. And we'll have 3D printed food. Like, can you imagine just like, you have this big thing and it's got just, I was thinking you could go all the way down to having like just vats of atoms, and you look at the chemical composition of any food you want, and it can like literally make elements, and it can, or not elements, but it can make molecules and so on and so forth, and eventually you can literally just synthesize anything you want. Like, it's like, I want this thing, and it's like you have the chemical composition of it, and it just like, remember the in Spy Kids, the first movie, where they had those little things of foods, and you just throw it in the or they threw it in that microwave, and boom, you had a McDonald's hamburger like that. Like, I want that. That would be cool. But like, it 3D prints it really quick. So, Defense Distributed makes the Ghost Gunner CNC mill for 80% lowers. They have also printed the Liberator and Air lowers. 3D printed babies. Yeah. 3D printed. I mean, I have a 3D printed hand. Yeah, I've seen Barnacles has a video of him printing a lower, 3D printed lower on his AR-15, I think. And he's like, yeah. So I don't know much about weaponry. I know you, Chase, you'll know a lot more than I do when it comes to that kind of thing, but I'm sure you can do it. 3D printed babies. I have this 3D printed hand. Hold on. Oh, God. Some of you may recognize this from, remember the FT5 overview video? This is what it was doing. That, like, those interjections every so often where it was just making something. This is what it was making. The tips are not very good because I was printing it really fast. I was printing it way too fast for those little tips. This, although I was printing ridiculously fast, took like 7 hours because it's almost 100% infill. It's really bad. It's heavy. It's really heavy. I haven't looked into firearms laws in a while. You can make your own lowers without registering them as long as you don't do it commercially, right? Yeah, probably. Chase would probably know. Done bowling and at work. Philip, you're always doing something. Oh my God. You went from bowling to work. What the heck, man? I never shot it. Let's read another project to add to the list. You can make your own receivers. If you look on eBay, the Zool Tech filament is out of stock except for PLA and black. It's been going in and out of stock like crazy, so just check back every so often because the black, when I bought that spool, the black was out, and then the other day when I went back on there, the black was in stock, but everything else was out, and so it's, just keep checking back. 3D printed computer processors, probably not. Well, maybe not. I mean, if 3D printing is just, stereolithography, basically. It's a form of lithography. So you could totally, I think at some point, it might be good enough to where you can essentially, you can have it so precise that you can make your own dies and everything in a 3D printing process, because more or less that's what it is, just a lot less accurate. But I think it's something that could be possible, way in the future, but certainly it could be possible. 3D printed, or would you make 3D printed prosthetics? Probably could. I know there's UCF actually has a thing where you can actually, if you have a 3D printer, they have this program where these kids who don't have arms or hands or something like that can join this program, and they'll scan their arm and all that and makes a custom 3D printed hand. And then if you have a 3D printer, you can offer your services and 3D print all the parts, send it to them, and they give it to them. So that's pretty cool. I thought about doing that. I haven't done it yet, but I think it's pretty cool that they're able to, make stuff for people. Make stuff for kids too. And the cool thing is like the kid can customize it. So if they, want like a hand, but like an Iron Man hand, you can print it like an Iron Man hand. And so it makes them, happy. And that's, in the end, it's all about making kids happy, isn't it? What am I, sleeping, working, or shooting? I think you're doing all three usually. I'm focusing big on making RC airplanes. I've seen a lot of people do RC stuff with 3D printing. Like remote controlled, especially drones. Like there's a lot of 3D printed drone stuff online available, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I was going to say, Joel Telling's last video was him making a prosthetic hand. 3D printing nerd. He's got a cool channel. Go subscribe to him. He's way better than me. Yeah, an atomic layer. Yes, you can 3D print CPUs. Just, you can't. It's something that's theoretically possible. We just haven't been able to do it yet. Got to get down to that nanometer. Once we get CPUs down to nanometers, to 1 nanometer dies, then it'll be perfect. 1 nanometer transistors, I guess. Whatever it is. I'm no engineer. I know a little bit about that stuff. A friend of mine does that, or did that. Carbon tubes. Yeah, carbon tubes. Those are going to be great. Ever thought of 3D printed electrical circuits? Actually, when I was at the 3D printing convention thing that I did a video about last year, they actually had a 3D printer there it was a dual extruding thing, and it had a regular 3D printer, and it had a separate 3D printer head that would it wasn't like a filament per se, like it wasn't just like a regular 3D printing filament, but it was like a special thing they had developed where it was almost like solder that would flow out, and you could actually make whatever it was and then integrate a an actual electric circuit in the part. It was really cool, and they said they were using it to make circuit boards, or like printed circuit boards, but they're laying the die instead of cutting the resist and all that kind of stuff, and it's pretty cool. So that's definitely going to be something that's going to be interesting, and I definitely want to do that because I like making my own circuits. So that would be really cool if I had that. But of course, they do have those 3D printed electric circuits. If you had like a dual extrusion printer, you could probably do that just using those like electric or those conductive filaments. They're not that good. It's not really good. There's a lot of resistance in them, but it's certainly something you can do. So, When are you going to print yourself a guitar? I'm picky about guitars, so I probably would never do that. I'm picky when it comes to guitars, so 3D printed guitar would be crap. There's this company that makes 3D printed guitars, but I don't think they use like this type of 3D printing. They use that powder type, I believe. But you can get like all sorts of cool custom designs and all that. They're just expensive as holy hell. So, do you have a 3D printed guitar body? A little one, like that big. Maybe it's a little strap body. I don't know where it is, but yes, I do have one technically. What do you think about linking the Ys together? Keep 2 motors, use 1 motor, just use dual end stop together. What's your favorite method? Do you mean the Ys or the Zs? Because I've done the dual end stop thing on the Zs, and that I can recommend. If you talk about the Y, I don't know if you'd be able to really do that really well. I mean, I'm sure you could, but like they have, yeah, like Philip just said, the cloner actually has, it's a dual Z system, but it uses a completely different movement method. So it would take a lot more, it would take some screwing around to be able to get that to work, or at least some big belts and all that. It's easier to do on the Z, but for the Y, it's not really necessary, I don't think. Because the thing is if you're under power, or even if it's not under power, generally that whole thing will move equally. And the motors, because of the way that everything's mounted, it really aren't going to get the Y out of whack. So, the Z's, yes. The Z's, I do recommend doing the linking. You can either link them together, the dual end stop mod, that all works. The dual end stop mod, I personally think is easier, and I like it that way. But that's just me. But you can do it to where you link them together too. I've seen people do that. Like, who was it? Someone had one of those mods to where you can link it's just a thing linking the Ys together, and that is nice. That's pretty cool. I do like that. But depends on what you have and what you want to do. You can just do them all, and then everything's totally fine. But I like how the dual end stop thing works. So right now we're at 14 nanometer dies. Yeah, my CPU on my computer is 14 nanometer. I think IMB has a 7 nanometer thing that they were making. It's not out obviously, but they were able to get the 14 nanometer lithography thing set up, which is pretty cool. Hello, Zoomer. I know there was a company doing something with silver that makes circuits at 3D printing because copper was oxidizing too fast. Yeah, probably. That just seems like it'd be really expensive really quick. Like, you do anything with silver, it's just stupid expensive compared to copper, compared to anything else. Then again, that's expected. The Z's, the Y's, the X's, just dual everything. Just 2 motors on each end of the X. You don't even need, just it's perfect. 10 out of 10. Thought I would listen in while I wire up my Do It Wi-Fi on the FT5. That sounds like a daunting task, but I hope you enjoy it. I hope it works really well. I definitely don't want to do that. I'm perfectly fine with the MKS. Why don't you make a cheap powder type 3D printer? I mean, I'm sure we could, but it's a lot. I don't think you can make one of those powder printers and also make it cheap, because the powder is expensive. You need that adhesive stuff that's expensive. Those are the printers that cost like $10,000. So I don't think there's an easy way to make those cheap. So yeah, link all of the axes. So you just need one singular motor. I mean, just do a Core XY. Then you just need 2 motors for the X and Y together. My machine has dual Y and Z motors. Yeah, that's what the stock FT5 has, I believe. So for the Z, it's simple as adding 2 cogs, 3 idlers, and a closed loop belt. Yeah, it's pretty easy if you do it that way. I didn't do it that way, but I had thought about that, and then I realized that you could do the dual end stop thing, and I thought that was pretty cool. So Walter had the drives linked. Yes, find it there. I wonder what John would think about making dual end stop standard. That's a good question. Maybe I'll convince him to do that. I mean, you're adding, the only thing that it does is it prevents you from having dual extrusion because you're using the fifth motor, the fifth driver and all that. But in reality, it's literally just you're including one extra motor wire and then one extra end stop in its wire. The only thing that I would recommend, though, is if you were to do that, to use a different than stock end stop mount, because I think the end stop mounts that it comes with would be very difficult to get them perfectly precise. So I would recommend upgrading the Z end stop mounts before you were to do any sort of dual extrusion stuff. But, you know, that's just me. I like making things easy. What's the next printer that Folger Tech will be coming out with once the CNC is released? It's a good question. What do you mean, the FT5 CNC or the possible Folger Tech CNC? The next printer, I don't know. Maybe a Prusa XL or something like that, like a bigger Prusa. Like a lot of people do the mod where you get the 300 by 200 millimeter bed onto the Prusa. Maybe something like that stock. You know, be like between a Prusa 2020 and the FT5, you know, like that size in between. So there's basically every size is covered. I kind of want to see if we can. I have basic plans for a FT5 type machine, but it uses an 8x8 bed to where it's very, very accurate. But it's an 8x8 bed. It's a smaller bed, because I think there's a lot of people who, if you can make it even cheaper. Even if it's not 8x8, even like a 6x6 or even 4x4, if you can make it cheap enough, you know, a really small printer, I think there's a big market for that still, because there's still a lot of people who don't need 8x8. 90% of the time, I don't need an 8x8 printer. You know, one of the little 4x4 monoprice ones would work fine for stuff I print. But, you know, I think being able to make a kit for every single, you know, group, you know, size group and price group would be great. You know, the cheapest printers we have are what, $269. It's like $240 or whatever it is with a discount and all that and shipping. You know, that's pretty good. But I think if you could even go lower than that and have that like $200 market or even lower, that isn't those crappy Chinese ones, that would be awesome. I gotta fix my hair. Oh my god. Hey, you guys get to see me with my hair down. I haven't made a video like that in forever. My hair's got long. It's beautiful. But I need to put it up because it's been like a while since I made a video with my hair down. There we go. Where were we at? But yeah, I don't know. There's no like definitive in the works yet, but like bigger Prusa, stuff like that, you know. I'm going for like a 1 meter by 1 meter printer. That's what I want to see. Now, it's not how many small cores are fitting more cores. Yes. And people who have done in powder, they use ink and a binder. Yeah. I like those color 3D printers, like full color ones. Those are cool. The only way to make powder printers cheap is mass production, much like VR headsets are being viable now because of smartphone screens. Yeah, that's very true. So when you have a fairly niche thing, it's hard to make it cheap, you know. That's why it took forever for 3D printing to be cheap. It's because it's hard to be cheap when you're in a niche thing. So the biggest thing though is right now is, oh my god. Yeah, right now just has to order an SOP and a driver. Yeah, that's what I mean. For the dual end stop thing, it's just you have to just have an end stop wire and a motor wire, and that's all you need. And you should already have a driver for that because it comes stock with 5. You only need 4, so like full check version of the CR10, possibly, pretty much. Yeah, that kind of thing. But we had the idea before they did. I'm lying, but you know, come on, the CR10. If I remember correctly, it's literally just the Prusa 2020 but bigger. I'm gonna Google it. Oh my god, I can't type. Yeah, like the CR10, it's the Folger 20, it's the 2020, the Prusa 2020, just bigger. So I mean, you know, my machine's axes are arranged in a special way, though. Okay. John has looked at making an XL. Yeah, I've seen pictures. But it doesn't mean that it's definitive, like, we're going to do it. It's just, here's an idea, that kind of thing. How is the rigidity issue taken care of for the CNC? 25-year-old CNC guy, and I'm concerned about it. Tried with the desktop CNCs that were pretty solid, but they weren't rigid enough. Well, that's the biggest thing, is you can't expect it, you shouldn't expect it to be, like a heavy-duty 10,000 pound milling machine or something like that, or even one of those big, good quality CNCs, because it is, a 3D printed mount and the way that it is. So it's not super rigid, but if you're doing wood and stuff like that, it works just fine. I wouldn't really recommend cutting metal or anything like that. I don't think it's rigid enough for that, to be honest. But wood and stuff like that, engraving metal should probably work fine. Acrylic you should be able to do. Wood will work fine, but I don't think metal would be something you really want to do, like trying to actually cut it. But it's certainly not terrible. It's a lot better than I thought it would be, to be honest. But it's it's not 1,000% rigid, just because by design, it's by design. It's very difficult to be really, really rigid. It's just not It's not a solid steel mounts on solid steel mounts on solid steel mounts bolted to the floor, So it's still pretty good. Like, it does go through wood pretty well, so I'll give it that. Make a version similar to the cherry printer. Yes, it's a good idea, actually. The bed does not move, only the gantry. Oh, so it's one of those. That's a good idea. I like that. I think it depends on the material you try to cut. Sheets of plastic, plywood, or less bite. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's that rigidity is fairly, it's not bad, but it's just, if you're trying to cut something that's really hard, like metal, or if you're cutting too fast, it's not as good as, an actual mill. But then again, it's a 3D printer with $100 add-on, It's not set up to be just like a dedicated CNC. If you're doing small things like those, little desktop, PCB routers or PCB engravers, it works good for that kind of thing. But, that's my only fear, is people will take it thinking that it's, they can sit there and, machine metal, like steel and stuff like that with it. And I'm sure you can, but you just have to go stupidly slow, which is going to cause issues in itself. So, I think it depends on the materials you try to cut. Sheets of plastic. Oh, yeah, I read that. 3D printed sex doll. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, sure. Actually, I think they have like 3D printed fleshlights and stuff online. Like, you can use like TPU or something like that. So, if you're into that kind of thing. Dropping emails. Swing upside, I'm not sure. Probably use prepackaged waiting. See, that's support right there. I backed the NEA 3D printer back in 2015. Now that it's never happening, I've built the Trunk CX1. I've yet to print with it yet. Took so many trips to the hardware store for missing parts. Yeah, and if it used metric parts, it's even harder, because most hardware stores don't carry a lot of metric stuff. So you have the most American metric thing ever. For some reason, the Lowe's I work at carries a fair number of metric things. So that's pretty good. So I'm able to get most things that I need. The only thing they lack is M3. There's a few M3 sizes, and they're usually out of stock. But, it's pretty good. I don't mind. What time is it? Oh, 10:25. I was expecting this to be about an hour and a half, so I got about 5 more minutes, guys. Last question round up. Go ahead and ask it, and we'll blitz through it, and I'll end this about 10:30 my time, so about 5 minutes from now. So anything else you want to ask me, questions, concerns, etc., feel free to put them in the questions now. Put them in the comments now. You guys are awesome. Thank you all for joining this stream. I hope you guys had a good time. So I enjoyed, we got 24 people. I think at the max we hit like 27 people or something like that. Like, that's pretty crazy. So you guys are seriously awesome. Like, I'm glad we had a number of people. We had a good number of people in this one. So it'll be fine. Yeah, 27 was the peak. So that's pretty cool. All the stuff coming in now. Main goal in life: be happy, make others happy, and be a good person. That's all I really stand by. So many people are like, in life they want to, I want to get married and have this job and blah blah blah. You know what? For me, it's just try to be a good person, try to stay happy, make people happy. Wherever I end up in life, as long as I'm trying to be happy, that's all that matters. Ace carries a good bit of metrics. Yeah, the only problem with that is there's not very many aces around me. I think the nearest ace is like 15 or 20 miles away. So there used to be one that was close, but disappeared. So any idea why a printer that was printing just fine suddenly starts printing Swiss cheese? Check the hot end. It probably is clogged, or if it's slicer related, you might be using S3D, and S3D's gone to shit for whatever reason recently. But probably either you have really bad filament in there or the hot end's clogging. So check that. Take care, Robert. Adios. Cool. I don't want to rush the operation if you're waiting on parts. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's just message Folger Tech. I'll talk to you probably tomorrow or later, whatever it is. See you later, Philip. You have yourself a good night as well. How far do you think we are from slicing direct CAD models like STP or Parasol instead of STL? I don't know. Well, I think, it depends really. They'd have to integrate, I think the actual CAD softwares are going to have to integrate like slicers into their software for that to be able to happen, or, slicers themselves get compatibility, from that. But most softwares you can export the STL and then it just put it in and then slice it. So it's not really that big of an issue, but it would take, everyone needs to work together for that to work. And I think it's not too big of a problem right now. It's not like it takes an hour and a half to go from a CAD software to a 3D printer. It's a fairly quick process already. So encore, clap, clap, clap. Yes. Encore. I tell you what, sometimes the best parts of a show is the encore. I saw Between the Buried and Me live one time, and their encore was Bohemian Rhapsody. They did a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Like, they did it almost better than Queen does, and it was awesome. It was really, really good. We were about to leave the place, and then we saw them come back out, and we're like, oh, what are they doing? And then they played it. It was amazing. So I bought a bunch of metric socket stuff from the aviation. Very good prices. Good. You can get them online, I think, actually, Folger Tech's got the new hardware stuff. You can buy them on there, too. What do you want to do in New Hampshire? I was hoping you'd be able to answer that question, because I don't really know. What is there to do in New Hampshire? We're up in that area, so we're going to do whatever we do at the place, and then whatever else we're able to do. I don't know. Let's go to Canada! Let's go to Canada! Yeah! I don't have my passport. I don't think I can do that. Dustin's going to help me get off the train on his way up to New Hampshire to help with my build. I'm sure you won't be the only person asking me about that. Can you make a stop on here in Atlanta and help me out? Like, nah. I'd love to, but don't have the time. Maker Geeps has been fine for me. I read that as Maker Geeps has been on fire. And I was like, whoa. I will check the clogged hot end. Yeah, that's usually what happens. The PTFE tube inside usually just goes to crap and causes everything to catch on fire. So, Stratus, I can never pronounce that word. Is doing it right now. Ooh. Now I'll have it together way before then, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah, definitely. It's still 2 weeks away. Less than 2 weeks away. Almost 2 weeks. Come on up to Canada. I would love to go to Canada one day. I hear that it's amazing. All my favorite YouTubers are in Canada. Seriously. So. Why does that thing say it's only been streaming for an hour and 8 minutes? But it's been streaming for an hour and 30 minutes. Come on, man. Oh, well. Alright, everyone. I'm going to end this stream and go do whatever I need to do tonight. Which is probably nothing, except maybe clean my room, because I desperately need to do that. And I can turn on my AC because it's hot. So, thank you all so much for joining me. This was a great time. So, I've had a wonderful time. I'm glad you all enjoying this and all that kind of stuff. Smaller printer idea. Think a 2020 32 cube style 8x8 for the round 350 would go a long way. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I had an idea for. I have a model that I might work on a little bit before I go up to New Hampshire. Maybe get to build something. So, New Hampshire takes the drive up Mount Washington. Go to Clark's Trading Post. Hit up the lounge again. The luge. Gotcha. Go shoot some guns. The most north I've ever been was upstate New York, where my mom's from. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait. Anyway, I think I might do a stream next week. I don't know about the following week because I will be in New Hampshire then. So if I'm able to, then I'll probably do this stream next week, and it'll all be great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to end this now. So thank you everyone for enjoying this, commenting. Thank you for the donations, those of you who did. You guys are freaking awesome. So thanks again. And until the next time I see you guys, I will see y'all later. It's going to be great. So adios, everyone. I'm going to stop the stream now. Maybe I'll go play Ark. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask a friend if we can play Ark for the next 6 hours. So, all right. Bye, everyone.